tired, don't feel no pain, 'cause I know you don't have what it takes. I'll build an empire from your mistakes. I'll build an empire from your mistakes. So try your luck, give me all you got. Only need one shot. So come and get it, so come and get it. So try your luck, give me all you got. Only need one shot. So come and get it, so come and get it. I am the fire, you know my name. You toil and tumble, you play your games, 'cause I know you don't have what it takes. I'll build an empire from your mistakes. I'll build an empire from your mistakes. So try your luck, give me all you got. Only need one shot. So come and get it, so come and get it. So try your luck, give me all you got. Only need one shot. So come and get it, so come and get it. Only need one So try your luck, so come and get it. Give me all you got, so come and get it. Only need one shot, so come and get it. So come and get it.
Well, it all comes down to this. The last chance of the last chance qualifiers. The team that wins out here will be our final team qualified to the 80k LAN, or the LAN at 80k Arena in Cape Town next month. It really all comes down to this. Two teams who have faced each other already once in this last chance qualifier, battling it out once again. It is going to be Raiders taking on who's it? Ethereal Ducklings, apologies. We've seen so much of Raiders so far this weekend. I'm excited to see what they can do. But Ethereal Ducklings coming out on top with a 3-0 victory in their last encounters. So Raiders will be looking to recoup some losses there and try and punch their ticket to that final in October. Before we get into anything else though, I have a new face with me here for his first and final cast of the weekend. Fluffy, welcome in.
Thank you very much, Sun Phoenix. I think I've missed a lot of Overwatch this weekend. Some close games, some intense Overwatch.
It's been some quality stuff. Obviously, you would have seen the first qualifier for the 80k
Yes.
finals. A lot of one-sided matches. Not much to show for in terms of close matchups there. But this weekend has been totally different. Not quite the 3 Overwatch we've seen in the past. And fingers crossed that we'll conclude in that same fashion here. So why don't we take a look at that bracket now and see where we are in the tournament. If you've been following along this weekend, you'll be familiar with everything that's happened here. We have already said goodbye to GNZA Talons, to Sinister Gaming in the last match, and shame to see them go. But on top of that, we've also seen a team qualify. They're taking a 3-0 victory over Ethereal Ducklings. Why don't we take a look at the qualified teams, and we can see that we've just got that one slot to fill here, and it will be filled by one of these two teams. Either Raiders or Ethereal Ducklings will join these 5 teams: Pink Salamanders and Glorious Blasters, Five Nights at LAN, Rage Quit Anomaly, Pangolins, Crimson. Vanquish qualified from this qualifier, and we've got one more. What are your thoughts on these teams that have qualified so far, Fluffy?
I mean, so far it's kind of what you're expecting. I mean, with only 8 spots available for qualification, you're really looking at the heavy hitters to go through, and we saw 6 of those heavy hitters going through in the last qualifier. And then with these last 2 spots up for grabs, you sort of had all of those teams that finished just outside of those top 2 spots at the last qualifier, moving forward here and being, so to speak, the top teams of this qualifier. And we saw Vanquish, who actually did really well in the last qualifier. He only missed out on that qualification spot just barely. A very close match in the end. They lost out to those top 2 spots. But they did quite well here, beating out Ethereal Ducklings 3-0 in the upper bracket final, clinching their spot in the LAN. and now Ducklings and Raiders going head to head for that last spot. You know, it's difficult to say. We've already seen them play out of 3-0 in the favor of Ethereal Ducklings, but that was a close match. So these are teams on the lower end of, you know, compared to these Pink Salamanders, Inglorious Blasters, Five Knights. These are hard-hitting teams, and Vanquish and one of these two teams going through today are going to want to not just, you know, be amongst those teams, they're actually going to want to compete against those teams. And I think they want to make a statement here, because these two teams are going to be playing against these heavy hitters. It's important for them to actually show we deserve these two spots, whichever team qualifies here.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we take a look at the rosters here that will be facing off in this matchup, our last one for the last chance qualifier. We're going to start with Ethereal Ducklings here, Ripe and Voideruni on your DPS, Phoenix Tears on the tank, and Nomadic Queen and Coconuts bringing up that back line. A team we've got some level of familiarity with. Looked pretty good against Vanquish, looked pretty good against Raiders, as we've already mentioned in their previous encounter. What are your thoughts on the squad?
Squad overhaul, as a whole, I think we can't look at the squad just from these 5 players, because the squad is more than these 5 players. We can't forget that this squad has 5 other players sitting on the bench waiting for their moment to come in. We've seen this is a team that is organized, they're structured. Depending on what heroes get banned, depending on what maps get picked, they change their roster. They have an idea of what they want to play and how they want to play it, and it's actually quite nice to see. And we've seen, you know, whenever Lucio is banned, the meme comes out. You know, it's a target at like Lexodian, because he's always in for the Lucio. If Lucio is not banned, we're probably going to see him get subbed in. If he isn't banned, we're probably not going to. If he is banned, sorry, we're probably not going to see Lexodian. So this is a squad that's more than just 5 players. The sum of the players is better than the individual parts. And we've seen them actually play very nice Overwatch over the course of these 2 qualifiers. I think they were maybe, I don't want to say unlucky, but they certainly showed up in the first qualifier, actually taking maps off big teams. They didn't win those series, but they took results. And I think given that we've already seen them 3-0 our opposition here, I think they have to be our favorites going into this match. Yes, it wasn't a clean 3-0, but it was still a 3-0.
Yeah, completely agree. Just one thing to point out, I think Lix is not available today. So no matter the state of Lucio, Lix will not be. The
principle still stands.
Yeah, I agree with you. But just because I know there's a lot of Lix fans here in the chat who will be sad who'll be, you know, watching with bated breath, waiting for him to make his appearance. But he is not on the squad for today, unfortunately. But let's take a look at their opponents here, Raiders. We know Raiders so well by now. We've seen them play so many matches this weekend. Finny New. Of course, we've been seeing Chaos in that role, but Finny New in to start off with here. Manso Kid as well, bringing in the DPS. Then we've got Nate as the tank, probably the standout player for this team. We've got Tickler and Panda as a supports. Panda, another player who's been doing such a good job holding on up that back line.
Yeah, we've seen Nate, you know, coming forward with the squashies on the D.Va, a lot of big plays on D.Va. D.Va a very, very strong hero at the moment, and his strength on D.Va is really shining. So it'll be interesting to see whether, you know, have Ethereal Ducklings been able to, you know, can they consistently keep him quiet as they did in previous matches? The other thing that's interesting to note in this team is they are a full console team. That is something that's rare in South African Overwatch. You know, South African Overwatch is predominantly PC dominated, so it's nice to see a console team doing quite well for themselves, and I'm sure they're going to be waving that banner proudly.
I'm sure they will be. Before we jump in, let's have a look at what the choices for maps are here for map number 1. They have to choose a control map. As we wait to see what their options were, it is between Busan, Echo Point, Antarctica, Samoa, and Ilios. And in the end, they decided to go with Ilios. It is, of course, Raiders' pick, I believe. Stand on correction there. It is Ducklings' pick, rather. So they're going to go for the old stock standard Ilios. What are your thoughts on that as a place to start for the Ducklings?
I mean, I'm sure Lexodian is not here. He's probably molding. He's upset. He's fuming. The Lucio map and the Lucio player can't play. I mean, it's difficult to say. This map has a bit of variety because you can play lots of different types of compositions on this kind of map. dive comps, brawl comps, they're all strong. We're going to see the bans coming out here. We're going to see Ethereal Ducklings banning D.Va from the outset. I think that is a targeted ban. I think that is... We've seen how strong Raiders are on the D.Va, and I think that is directly targeted at Nate. And then we're seeing Raiders pick out the Brig. I think what this might result in, we might see some fast composition. We might see either some brawl comps with Lucio and Reinhardt, or maybe some Mauga or something along those lines. Or alternatively, we might see fully embracing the dive, seeing Lucio Kiriko, Lucio Ana, that kind of composition with a Monkey or a Doomfist or something very fast, very aggressive.
Well, we have seen Raiders especially excel on that brawl composition. If Nate isn't playing the D.Va, he's quite often finding success on the Junker Queen. So this, I think, they thrive on the D.Va, do Raiders, but they're perfectly capable of doing a lot of other stuff. Not quite the one-dimensional team I was worried they might be when they started this competition out, but
maybe
taking wins over Sinister Gaming and proving that they've got a pretty deep locker compositionally.
Maybe a miss, maybe the wrong map to ban D.Va on for Ethereal Ducklings, because this isn't the map where they're going to have that real high ground. Isn't really a big issue. On 2 of the 3 maps, there's really no high ground to worry about. D.Va is very, very good at contesting high ground. So a hero like Junker Queen can really excel on this map. And maybe Ethereal Ducklings have pulled out their D.Va ban a bit too early. That's potentially something they might need to be concerned about, if that was the strategy behind the D.Va ban.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And we have ended up going to Nimbani and Dorado for maps 2 and 3 quite frequently.
Strong
to see this
D.Va
Raiders team, exactly. So that might be quite a good call, Fluffy. We are already in map, pretty much ready to go here, just 20 seconds before the action unfolds. We do have a pretty good look here at the compositions in Raiders. Big brawl, no Lucio to go with that for the time being, but all coming in behind that Nate Junker Queen, and then a bit of a dive on the other side.
Yeah, it's interesting that Raiders are deciding not to play the Lucio with the Queen. I mean, you accurately predicted the Queen comp from Raiders, but then more of a traditional dive composition from Ethereal Ducklings. It'll be interesting whether or not the backline can survive, and particularly whether Phoenix Tears can survive into this Reaper of Chaos. That might be an interesting battle, an interesting head-to-head.
Chaos has been very good on that Reaper. One of the key picks for this team throughout the last chance qualifier so far. Phoenix Tears does make a jump in there onto the Junker Queen, but Chaos, he's somehow got on top of Coconuts and has taken out. He finds another. Both supports out of the team fight already. Raiders coming in strong here on Elios for the first point. They should get this cap nice and quick, and that's exactly the start you want from your underdogs.
An interesting start off. The Coconuts going down very early to Chaos, getting a good early pick on the Reaper. He's not a hero you traditionally associate with the stealthy in the backline hero, but it's something that the Ducklings need to look out for. They're playing this very greedy backline with the Ana Zen, and they need to look after them if they're going to get value out of them.
Indeed, a lot of damage going through. Yeah, Panda finds himself kind of out of position, but he does end up getting that kill onto Nova Queen. The res not going to come through here, right on the money here. Our Tracer player shutting down the resurrection there from Mr. Tickler, and that Mercy's been pretty key to success for a lot of these teams throughout this last chance qualifier, so it's good to see the Tracer getting on top of that. But that's going to be it for the team fight, but they're not quite able to push forward and cap here, or Ethereal Ducklings once again.
No, it's an interesting fight. Ducklings seem to have won the fight, but then decide not to push their advantage and actually take them. They're going to get the kill onto the Symmetra, which is a good start. But again, they haven't really taken advantage of it, and they're sort of in this. Oh well, there we go. They've now got 4, but the res has come out, so effectively 3. But it's an interesting point where they're not taking advantage fast, quickly, and we're already at 61%, 62, 63, ticking up. And Raiders are very happy to lose this fight, I think.
Yeah, they pretty much bought themselves a whole extra team fight there by not giving that point, or perhaps not being forced off the point by Ethereal Ducklings. But Ethereal Ducklings on the driver's seat now. 5 LTs pretty much ready to go, in spite of the fact that Raiders have built all this percentage. They haven't actually been doing that much damage. Pulse Bomb comes out, doesn't find anything here, right? Gonna beat a hasty retreat here as he looks to keep himself healthy and find an opportunity to get in onto this Raider squad. Oh, he's jumped forward, he's found one. Can he find anyone? He does indeed. Panda goes down to Yubi Killer. going as well as they move forward. Yeah, oh, this is not what Junker Queen wants to be fighting another Junker Queen, but this Junker Queen is going to charge ulti so much faster. Voideruni, he drops that ulti, hits one with it right in the backline, has taken down the Tracer, and Ethereal Ducklings, a slow start to their Ilios map here, but they found their rhythm pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's actually Raiders got the 69% fairly quickly in those 2 fight wins, I mean 1.5 fight wins if you will, but then they didn't actually build any ults in those fights, so Ducklings, despite losing those 2 fights, had so many ults coming into it and they got value out of them, a good echo dupe there, but now we're going to see Raiders having a lot of ults, 4 across the board, and it looks like they're going to get value out of it here with Death Blossom coming online. He wants to get these supports.
Not quite able to get that shot off, but he does pop the LT. 1, 2, 3, count him out. 2 tanks, 2 supports, a perfect haul here for Chaos on the Reaper. Now we can just move forward and clean up. He gets the Echo as well. That's 4 out of 5 kills to the Reaper. Yeah, stolen there by Nate, but I don't think they'll care too much. They retake the point, and it's all even Stevens here, ult economy wise and percent wise.
Yeah, just Raiders taking the lead there just now, and it's looking at sort of last fight territory for Ducklings. Ducklings don't need to be too worried because they do have ults on the board, but it's whether or not they can get value out of them that's the question. This is looking to be a TP play. Balticlet's going to go down, and it's losing that Mercy like that is dangerous.
Big ult goes through, but doesn't find enough, I don't think. But they get on top of that Ana. They do take them down, but Junker Queen is all by themselves.
No.
C9, not quite. Heads up play from a fellow Phoenix there. Puts himself on the point with the Primal Rage. Will get that cap to keep them in the game and in control here on the first point of Ilios.
Yeah, they managed to... that the supports from Raiders are really under a lot of pressure between Phoenix Tears, Ripe, and Void Rooney. They are pressuring out Balticlet and Panda a lot. We're gonna see a swap here from Nate. Is going to swap to the piggy boy. I'm sorry, the words have escaped me. But Voiderini is gonna pick up 2 very, very quickly, and I don't think they can even touch at this point. Nate on the hog isn't gonna be able to get there.
Especially not in the face of another hog, and that is going to be it. A good start from Raiders on Ilios, but unfortunately for them, Ethereal Ducklings finding their feet, finding their rhythm, and dominating when it's all said and done.
Yeah, but not a one-sided map there. I think Raiders started that really, really well, as you said. I think the aggression they came out with was really good. I think the turning point was Phoenix Tears, Ripe, and Voiderini going so aggressive onto the backline, onto the Mercy, onto the Kiriko, and once those supports were down, the support for the DPS and the tank wasn't there, and they were struggling to maintain the pressure. And Voiderini was doing a lot of work on that Echo, and after that first initial fight, Coconuts and Nova Queen were much better at staying alive. They did a much better job, and they actually were able to put much more pressure onto the aggression of Chaos and of Nate.
No more Tracer here for Ripe, which surprises me a little bit. I felt that was a pretty strong part of their composition. But they are going to TP through here, but Nate a little bit late to the party. Does end up getting onto point here. A lot of players set up, but not enough healing. They were not quite hooked up. Nate dropping early there because Moira wasn't in the team fight with them. Kind of waddled up slowly and lately. Good healing here from Nova Queen onto her Echo, but Chaos, he's found the backline here once again. He's been doing a great job of getting into the backline of the enemy team, but unfortunately the peel is there from Phoenix Tears, keeps his only support alive, and they get the job done once again. Ethereal Ducklings take the first cap on Lighthouse.
That was actually a really nice play from Coconuts and Nova Queen, taking up that high ground, and then we saw Discord onto Nate, and then the anti onto Nate as well, meaning that the DPS and the tank could get that kill really, really nice, and then that just opens up the fight. We're going to see a swap here. Nate has given up on the Queen, is going into the Doomfist. I think they're going to try to dislodge this entrenched backline off the high ground.
Ooh,
there it is.
There we go. He jumps up top there. He finds 1 kill onto Ripe Sojourn, but he's dropping low. Does he have the sustain up here? No, he doesn't. Yes, he does. He gets another punch kill onto Phoenix Tears, taking down the enemy tank, and that's going to allow them to cap this point. We saw Nate on the Doomfist for but 1 moment on Numbani in his first match against Sinister Gaming, I think it was, but didn't find success there, but this time gets in deep and gets the job done.
I think it's a really good swap from Nate, because having the ability to pressure the high ground is needed on this point. If Raiders just let the backline of Ducklings set up on this high ground, they will lose the map. Nako's going to go down early, but it's a worry because now but both tanks are going to go down.
Yeah, evens up here with Phoenix Tears dropping. No Mercy in play for either team, so no res forthcoming. Right though, he finds Panda, and that might be the crack they need in the enemy armor to try and push their way through. Coconuts has taken down Tekla as well, so Ethereal Ducklings sitting pretty here in this team fight as the percentage evens out. But can they push forward and cap point? They are on point at the moment. Just one person will complete that cap as Raiders kind of getting pushed back here a little bit. Nate having to back out here, but he's losing teammates at a rapid rate. I feel like Tekla just came back to the fight and he's already gone down. Nate looking to punch in, but thinks better of it here as once again Ethereal Ducklings claim control of the point. Nate playing aggro here on the low ground as we see Phoenix setting up to go, but Chaos in the back line here. Ulti almost is already. He pops one. There is Coconuts with the Transcendence, as you say. Will he pop the ult? Yes, he does, but the Transcendence is good. The sleep is there as well. Double counted out is Chaos on the Reaper as now. Action on point once again. Reaper doing so much damage. Not taken down though just yet, as once again the action unfolds on point. Doomfist on Doomfist violence, but the Blue Fist wins here as once again Ethereal Ducklings bend, but they do not break. Still in control here on Lighthouse.
Yeah, it's really good there. You can see that Chaos just wants to get up and contest this Ana and this Zenyatta on high ground. That's really, really good for him. That's exactly what he needs to be doing. But he needs the support of the rest of his team because, like we said, if Coconut's going to go down early, that's an opportunity now. But there's not a lot of time left for Raiders to get in because Ethereal Ducklings are about to cap. They're pressuring high ground, which is good, but someone has to contest. And they are going to get the contest, which is good to see. But they have to do something with this opportunity that now has opened up to them.
They do indeed. Phoenix just needs to be careful here. He does not have ulti to save himself. Void Aruna, sorry. He finds one kill in the backline. Nate gets that punch kill onto him in turn to avenge his team fight. But they need to get rid of this monkey here on the point. Phoenix Cheers. Not quite last man standing, but last man in the fray here as the Mei looks to cut off the Winston here. They will do so. They have recapped already. So this is pretty good time for Raiders here. The longer the spike takes, the better it is for them, but they do need to win it out in the end. If they drop this, they lose map number 1. It has to pretty much comes down to that here. Action on point once again. Mei in the ice block here, trying to stay alive. Chaos DP is in aggressively here, drops low, taken down, so close to his ulti. That could be a critical kill here as Ethereal Ducklings once again a chaotic team fight, kills going in all directions, but at the end of it all, Ethereal Ducklings stand firm and take Ilios here to go up 1-0.
Yeah, it's really well played. I think we saw good adaptation from Raiders, good theory from them, stopping their composition to contest the high ground, but I think the execution was maybe a bit off. I think given that now D.Va is not bannable from the side of the Ducklings, we're going to see more D.Va coming up. I think this is a good thing for the Raiders because I think their composition is much stronger when they have a D.Va in it. We saw the idea of contesting the high ground, the idea of pushing people off that dominant area was there, but the execution was just a bit off. I think maybe if you're a bit on you're more on a comfort hero like the D.Va, who's a very, very strong hero at the moment, I think maybe Raiders can step up because yes, that map ended 2-0, but it was very close. It was 100 to 99 and 100 to 74, I think. That was a close 2-0.
It's kind of what we saw in their last series as well, as I understand it. Yes, it was a 3-0, but close maps. But at the end of it all, the team with more experience competitively took it out in the end, and that's often what we see, isn't it? The team that has that more experience in those high-pressure situations, they just tend to find that little bit extra, that extra gear, just to push them over the line when other teams might falter.
Yeah, you're kind of in those situations, you're banking on either experience of your team across the board, or you're banking on some individual play to come out.
Yeah.
And, you know, a big Death Blossom, a big D.Va Bomb, a big, you know, Nano Boost or Anti-Nade or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Or just, you know, clicking the head 5 times. And, you know, in those last 2 maps, it didn't happen for Raiders. And, you know, similar damage numbers. Again, that just shows you how close the map was. 52,000 to 50,000. But just Ducklings just edging it just a little bit closer. But now this does, you know, shift the driving seat over to Raiders, who now do have the first pick for the map and the first ban pick. So we might see Raiders, you know, we saw Ethereal Ducklings a very targeted ban of banning that D.Va. So maybe Raiders now do something similar, or maybe they protect their own heroes, their comfort heroes, with their bans. It remains to be seen how they want to choose those bans, what their thinking is there.
Well, let's take a look at the map pool here and try and get a sense of where we might end up going. We have been seeing Dorado or Numbani in the second slot pretty much every time. It's worth noting that they do not have to pick Escort and then Hybrid and then Push. They can pick from any of these maps, I believe, outside of Flashpoint and Clash. And now we do have a good sense of where they're going, and they've decided they want to skip over Escort and High Road and take us straight to Push, and it is going to be Esperanza.
Esperanza now. That's interesting because like you said, they've been favoring Lumbani, favoring Dorado. Those are very high ground intensive maps where defenders have a massive high ground advantage. Esperanza is a map where that really isn't the case. That's a very brawl favored, very aggressive map where you can play things like Jungle Queen, you can play things like Lucio Queen, you can play Reinhardt, you can really do what you want. The high ground is not an issue here. And if that's a Raiders pick for a reason, I'm curious to see what they do. Maybe we'll see more Jungle Queen like we saw. I think they looked better on the Jungle Queen than they did on the Doomfist. So it's an interesting pick. Raiders, I think, with the defensive ban, I think that is an intentional play. They want to play D.Va, and they've banned the beams.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ethereal Duckling banned the other beam, right? So both teams are like, let's do it. D.Va on D.Va violence. You love to see it or you hate
D.Va
to see it, depending on what side of the line you're on. But I will say Raiders looked absolutely dominant on this map specifically against Sinister Gaming the first time round. They pretty much did about the fastest push I think is possible on push. Push through, point never really stopped for 1 second, and they pushed all the way through to the end. So this is clearly a map that fills them with confidence that they feel comfortable on, and I think they're banning to empower themselves to orbit around that D.Va from Nate very effectively. Ethereal Duckling seems like, as we've said, they want to do the same thing. We know Phoenix Cheers, of course, loves his D.Va as well. So I think we're, as we said, I think we're going to see some D.Va on D.Va action here.
It's certainly a possibility. The other alternative is that maybe we see Ethereal Ducklings playing the Winston and them just embracing the aggression and the dive. If you're going to have a D.Va in our backline, we're going to have a Monkey and a Tracer and an Echo in your backline. And
well, hold on, Fluffy. One thing worth noting here is that we do have Phoenix just subbing out here and Something Cat coming in. If memory serves, Something Cat plays a ton of the Mauga and those kind of brawly heroes. So I think they're just going to try and run them over here with some aggression.
It's possible, but we have seen a lot of Something Cat on the Mauga, and he's been very strong on the Mauga. But something to remember is that Mauga struggles into D.Va because Mauga thrives off that, the lifesteal. He uses his shout, and there's the Mauga. He uses his shout, and he's going to steal as much health as possible to keep himself alive. But D.Va can just negate all of that. And if you're not doing any damage because you're being defense matrix, you're not healing anything, at which point the enemy team kills you. I think Something Cat might struggle here on the Mauga. I'm not sure if this is a pick he wants to stay on, given how Raiders are looking at a very aggressive comp. The Sombra and the Genji together with the D.Va and the Ana, that is an aggressive composition.
A really nice comp to fight into the Mauga for sure. It kind of makes you question the Symmetra ban as well. What is that stopping here? Mauga's not really that scared of Symmetra, is he? I wouldn't have thought so, but we'll have to wait and see here what unfolds as they get set up here on the high ground. Aggressive movement here from our blue team. Ethereal Ducklings need to put the pressure on. A lot of damage coming through. As you say, a lot of it getting eaten up. But speaking of aggression, charges straight in there. Look at the find kills here. The Venture outputting a ton of damage potential here. But Chaos, they find Something Cat. We said he was going to struggle on that hero in this map, and it comes to bear here first up. But we've seen Ripe pull out some magical plays on this hero, on Ilios, the Tracer. But Voidaruni, he finds Panda in the background, but they do take down Nova Queen. But they've lost both healers here, so Raiders in a bit of trouble here. That D.Va down low, and there's no healing coming through for them. So in spite of losing Something Cat early, the play, the team composition, and the cohesion is there for Ethereal Ducklings to fight back and win out the team fight.
Yeah, I think I was worried about Ethereal Ducklings there when they lost Something Cat so early. I think that was showing the weakness of the Mauga into the D.Va composition, but they actually responded really well, and I think Void really did really well to put pressure. The Venture doesn't really care about a D.Va in their face, so it's actually something a good pick there, a good matchup. But I think Something Cat's really going to struggle here into this composition, especially now they've swapped into the Mei as well, and being down one in this fight is going to be a struggle.
A lot of pressure going on to them here, though. The stun comes out from the Mauga. Something Cat is standing his ground here. There's the big anti-heal. The Kiriko, though, immediately the Suzu purging that out. So Something Cat ready to fight once again. Voidaruni here. You do not want to fight this hero in here, in and out, in a flash. And big ultimate, not going to find anything. No squish forthcoming for Nate. The rest through onto Panda as well. Meaning they're fighting at near full capacity as well. A good wall keeps him alive. Something Cat dropping low is taken down. Tickler whoops out the gat and puts down the Samoan machine here. Can't find any more. Oh, huge ultimate right. Takes out Panda. Does so much damage to the rest of the team as well. Takes out the Diva mech, and Voidaruni says, thanks, bud. I'll clean up alongside you. And once again, Ethereal Ducklings cleaning up this Raider squad. Not able to stand up to the might of the Duck.
No, the Ducks are reigning supreme at the moment, and they, in that sloppy back and forth fight, in the end the Ducklings cap, and now they've actually put themselves in a really, really good position. We're going to see quite an ugly fight here, I think, coming out. Something Cat's going so low.
Oh, there we go.
It's being pressured by that Diva, and I think at this point, you know, Raiders probably have this fight. I don't think Ducklings are going to invest resources into it, but honestly, Ducklings are probably fine with that. They've pushed beyond the checkpoint. That was an important benchmark for them to reach. And now this next fight, I think, is going to be big, because Ducklings are going to invest heavy so that Raiders can't cap and get the checkpoint. Although that's going to be difficult for them. You know, yes, they have the Mauga ult, which is probably going to be the best resource for them, but they're going to have the Nano Blade in the side of Raiders, which is a big resource that's going to be difficult for Ducklings to counter.
No defensive ultimate to speak of here, but Something Cat, he finds that kill, he finds another, but Chaos here in with the Nano Blade. No targets though, swinging at Fresh Air finally, he gets onto the Kiriko, misses that last swipe, so won't secure that kill. Something Cat says, what are you doing here? Get out of here, you pesky Cyber Ninja. And that's going to be it. Ethereal Ducklings falling here, but finally Nate comes back in, gets a kill onto the Tracer, but I don't think he's got the resources or the team here to get back in and try and take this fight back. So Ethereal Ducklings, once again, they bend back, but they take the team fight pretty soon after.
Yeah, that was, you know, a bit of misfortune there from Chaos, who looked at like 2 opportunities to have a perfect blade and able to get 3 or maybe even 4 of Ducklings, but he didn't quite get them. He ended up getting the 1. That was a big resource then Raiders have lost out on. Interesting swap here, with Ball Tickler swapping over to the Zenyatta, Panda swapping over to the Life Weaver. Not what I was expecting. I thought their comp was actually quite okay, but maybe it's a defensive thing to maybe help the Diva. But squash coming, maybe?
No, not quite able to get the squish around that corner there. Pulse bomb goes off, doesn't find any kills just yet. Not gonna find anything else, but Something Cat puts down the cage fight, looking for kills with the Genji in trouble in the corner. The healing orb won't keep him alive for very long. Nate also joining the fray now. We know he doesn't have the self-destruct, and now he doesn't have a mech either, as he's taken out as well. Ball Tickler dropping low, and Panda making the right choice here. Retreat is the best way forward, and once again Ethereal Ducklings take control with a few ults in the bag still.
Yeah, we're seeing some swaps again from Raiders, with Chaos giving up on the Genji, going over to the Reaper. We've seen him be very successful on the Reaper. I think maybe he just wants to put more pressure on Something Cat. I think I don't think the issue is the heroes so much. I think the issue is the coordination. I think the Diva on its own should be enough, but when the defense matrix comes out onto the Mauga, they need to be killing him, getting the value on him. They already have this. He goes down. Oh, what a combination!
The orbital ray with the tectonic overcharge, it's too much to handle, too hard to handle here. They might complete the cap right now. That was a quick team fight. I think they should be able to get out and go for one last desperate defense. Raiders, but looking pretty dire for them in this last chance match.
Chaos might be able to touch, I think, but with the Trance, the Zoom is coming out, they're going to get the contest, but the resources are looking low, and I think, they're going down.
One after each other they drop here. Both DPS dropping early. Nate, last man standing on the point, he'll get taken down, and with 4 minutes on the clock, Ethereal Ducklings stamp the authority on this match to go up 2-0 over Raiders.
Yeah, and that's just a statement from Ethereal Ducklings, because this was everything in favor of Raiders. Raiders chose the map, Raiders chose the bans, and Raiders protected their own bans to such a high degree, and then Ducklings played heroes that were not necessarily favored into what Raiders were playing, and Ducklings still dominated. That is a statement from Ducklings that can't be understated, and I think that's going to maybe affect the mental of Raiders, because they were out for this map. This was the map they really wanted to win, and now that they haven't, I think they're now worried.
Well, this wouldn't be the first time they've been 3-0'd by Ethereal Ducklings, so they knew what
No.
they were signing up for coming into this map. They knew it was going to be tough, and they'd have some footage of the Ethereal Ducklings and some sense of how they played. But Ethereal Ducklings has that depth of roster that you spoke about. Something coming out of nowhere. You know, how do you respond to a team like that if you're not that familiar with all the various options that they can bring out? From Raiders' perspective, you know, you look at them, you say, okay, Phoenix Cheers was pretty confident on the monkey in that previous match. Maybe they want to play more of a dive style, but you move over to Esperanza, you bring a totally new dynamic that you have to deal with. So you can understand why Raiders were kind of taken out by that. But as you say, they had all the tools, they had all the pieces in place to counter out, especially something cat on the Mauga. But at the end, Theo Duckling's just too good. Between the two DPS, especially the Venture, a pick we haven't seen much of throughout this tournament, that came in clutch from Voideruni, and then Ripe just dominant on that Tracer once again. So great work from them. Let's take a quick look at the maps here and try and get a sense of where we want to go. Again, it's Raiders' pick here. Their last chance in the last chance of the last chance qualifiers.
Yeah.
It all comes down to this, Fluffy, but first take a look at the stats.
Yeah, we see there Ethereal Ducklings 5k damage ahead of Raiders, and that is not inconsequential. That's a lot. And you know, you look at the healing of Ethereal Ducklings. It's low.
Ooh,
It's 3.4 versus 9.6, and that was with a Mauga on the side of Ethereal Ducklings. So it just shows you, you know, Raiders were doing damage, but it wasn't meaningful damage.
Yeah.
Ducklings were getting the meaningful damage. They were getting the kills. So that 25k is actually worse than it looks, because it's meaningful damage from the side of Ducklings versus surface damage from the side of Raiders. And I'd like to see Raiders pick a map that more suits their style. I think they want a high ground map, and indeed we're going to see Numbani is going to be the pick from Raiders, and I think this is a good decision, because it's a map where how Raiders want to play is going to be supported. Raiders don't want to be brawling out against the Mauga. They want to be diving and aggressive. We've seen, so far at least, we've seen Raiders playing a lot of aggressive dive competitions where they can take high ground, where they can control high ground. And that last map, again, I think maybe it's a bit of misplay on the bans. I think maybe they should have gone to Numbani instead of Esperanza, and then protected gone for the Zarya ban to make that statement ban. And I think maybe it is just a little bit of maybe a team misplay of what was the decision, because they needed to win that last map, because now, like you say, they need to reverse sweep. If they want to play in October, they need to reverse sweep Ethereal Ducklings right now.
They do indeed. We do have our bans complete and ready to go. Raiders say we don't want that Ana. It's an odd one, because we felt like the Ana was supporting their playstyle against Something Cat more than it would have been their opponents, but they've decided they don't want to play against that. And then we've got the Junkrat ban from Ethereal Ducklings. Mansour was playing a lot of that hero, so perhaps trying to get rid of that hero, just in case it might come up. But Mansour hasn't been playing that in this last map, so no substitutions, as to be noted. So it'll be Something Cat in once again. What are your thoughts on the bans before we hop in?
That's very interesting, because we've always seen whenever Ducklings play a map that has high ground as a big feature, Phoenix has been the tank, and whenever it's a brawl map, Something Cat has been the tank. So we're going to see Something Cat playing a dive favored map with Numbani. So it'll be interesting to see how Ducklings, adapt with that change. We haven't really seen Something Cat play a lot of Diva, a lot of Monkey. We've seen him play predominantly Mauga, and that's a change. Maybe it's a conscious decision. Maybe it's, maybe this is a chance for them to show that they can be more than that. They can be more flexible than just playing Something Cat always on the Mauga.
We'll have to wait and see here. We can see Phoenix Cheers is still very much in the picture, literally and figuratively. So it's not like he had to run off and go and do something else. So it is a tactical decision from Ethereal Ducklings to leave Something Cat in here. And I wonder if we were getting it twisted here, and Phoenix Cheers is the substitute, and Something Cat is the main man, because perhaps it's just when they feel like they want to run that dive that they have Phoenix tiers in, but most of the time they want to play around the style that Something Cat excels at. We'll have to wait and see here if Raiders can take this one and take us to a map number 4, but their backs against the wall here throughout the series, and in fact in the previous series against Ethereal Ducklings. But we do now head over to Numbani here. This first point can be a pretty tough point to make any impact on attack, so we'll have to wait and see what Raiders on their attack think the option is, and it's more Nate Diva. The main's an interesting pick here, I think, but Something Cat, he's very much like, I know what I'm about, and it's about dominating with 2 miniguns.
So we're gonna see. So Ethereal Ducklings are on the defense, and Raiders are gonna be attacking. And I think this raises worries, because what's gonna happen is Raiders are gonna take high ground. Either Something Cat is gonna have to start on high ground, or he's gonna start on point. And at some point, someone is going to have to contest, and it's more than likely going to be Something Cat. If Something Cat is the person contesting, Raiders at that point can say, screw point, we're going to ignore that and go kill everything that's on high ground. If they do that, they win the fight. They win the map, or the point. If Ethereal Ducklings give up high ground, Raiders just have high ground for free. So I'm tentatively worried for Ducklings, if depending on how they're going to play this. There is a lot of playing something that can't contest high ground as easily, like this Malga, is a worry on a map like this on point A of the Barney. Right now, at this point, Raiders should say, screw this, and go onto the other high ground. Contest all those other people on high ground, ignore this Malga.
Yeah, this is playing right into Something Cat's hands. You'll be happy to do this for the rest of the map. Stand in this doorway, punch the damage down this choke, and pressure the Diva back. Diva's so low, he's tinned up, but he's not going to be too worried. That Diva almost going down here. But they're happy Raiders to try and force their way through here. And this, as you say, does not feel like the correct way to play this. There's no Anna in the game, and out, so you can't even try and rely on an anti-heal to pressure him back. Plus, they've got Nova Queen with the Suzu ready to go. Should Something Cat find himself in danger, but they do finally push forward and they get the flank on. But unfortunately, Ripe and Something Cat find a couple of kills, and there we go. The trigger is pulled literally and figuratively as the Malga punches forward. Nate will go down. What? He charged ulti up? Oh my god. Does he get any kills? He gets no kills.
Is he gonna get the
squish? No. Doesn't
Diva.
need it. The Bunny Blaster gets the job done. And that kill, I mean, it's nice, but that was an ulti 1 kill. They're not really in a position to push here.
Yeah, I want to see them go main. I want to see them go main and use the fact that they have such mobility with the Diva and the Ashe and the Kiriko and the Mercy, and just take this high ground off them. Force this exactly like this. This is what we wanted to see them do. And you see, the Malga can do nothing. The Malga is irrelevant at this point because he can't contest high ground. This is how they need to be playing this. Abuse the fact that Diva can be so mobile.
And that's exactly what they're doing here. Juno now in trouble. We haven't mentioned that, but there is a Juno in the game here. Valkyrie popped, going for a big res, I suspect, but I think getting there too late. As Tickler helps Nate take control of this high ground. They will get a tick here. It looks like, yes. Something Cat a little bit too slow, but he has got the cage fight. He pops that down, finds 1, finds 2. No DPS in play here. Nate even going to be demeched. So, as you say, trying to get control of that high ground, but at some point they have to go point. And when that happens, Something Cat is ready to gobble them up.
Yeah, but I mean, they did get a tick, which is important because now the map can't be drawn. But again, how they played that fight is how we have to see them play the fight. I think they can't be trying to outbrawl the Malga, because you won't outbrawl a Malga. You have to abuse the fact that the Malga can't go take high ground. If the Malga's going to sit on point, that's fine. Get your DPS onto high ground, force him to contest point, at which point your Cassidy just sits on high ground, your Ashe just sits on high ground, and you win the fight. The Malga cannot contest you at that range.
Well, you know who can contest you is the Diva in the Echo form here. The duplicate does come out, the Malga drops down. They're facing up against the Malga once again. Voideruni does get demeched. He didn't ulti there for some reason, but Something Cat so aggro. 1-2 players off the map here. The bomb, I think, expired there. I didn't see. Oh, that was a friendly bomb. Nate popped back just to keep the mech, but he's lost so many teammates. Tickler has hopped off the map as well, it seems. And again, they're trying to face up against this Malga, and it's not working out for them.
No, it really isn't. And then running out of time, 30 seconds left, and that's going to be it. We're going to see the swap from Raiders. They're going to swap onto the Sombra. I like that swap. It's a mobile hero. Somebody can get onto this high ground. And this is what we're going to see again. It's good from them. They need to pressure out Ripe. They need to pressure them out. And they're going to get the... Oh no, Panda's going to go down.
Yeah.
It's worrying. Oh no, they're all falling.
both healers down. That's pretty much it. Nate dropping low. He's desperately trying to take cover, but his make is just a tiny bit too wide. Plus the flank from the Echo means he'll be taken down. That moon boot to the face of QB Killer, and that's going to be it here, unfortunately, for Raiders here. There's attack. Ethereal Ducklings just too strong. But again, execution, misunderstanding, misreading, Fluffy. It just seems like Raiders didn't quite understand where their composition excelled.
Yeah, I don't think so. Given the composition the Ducklings had, they actually played it very well. They had the immobile heroes sitting on one side. We had Malgus sitting on the close high ground. We always saw him contesting that high ground. The mobile heroes are moving between the high ground. So when Nate and when Chaos were trying to pressure out those heroes on the other high ground, they would just jump across to the other side. We saw, you know, the Kiriko TP across, or we saw the Sojin just slide across, and then they're all safety because they're all just near the Malga. And that was good. I mean, I think it was abusable by Raiders. They could have abused it if they'd played it a bit better, but it was good given how the composition Ducklings had. They played it well. I think Raiders may be a bit too dependent on comfort heroes. Maybe some inflexibility there. We're going to see very different heroes from the Raiders onto the Symmetra and onto the Bastion. So very, very different heroes. Maybe the Bastion might be something to struggle with for Something Cat, you know, that raw damage of the turret form. But Something Cat doesn't really care. Malga doesn't really care if you do damage to him, as long as he's doing damage to you. So again, it's not a problem with the heroes that Raiders are playing, it's how they're playing. They have to, whenever Nate DM Something Cat, everyone has to shoot him. Yeah.
But again, it's why take the Ana out here if you're Raiders, right? Something Cat's in. The Ana almost feels key to countering out the Malga. Of course, yes, you can pounce on them with the defense matrix, but the Ana kind of gives you ban the Kiriko instead. Then you don't have to worry about Suzu. But anyways, it's way too late for that now. They've got to defend this. Oh my god, Something Cat says, hello, I'm here, deal with me. Coconuts, he says, Chaos, get out of my game. And Nate's dropped Nick already. It might be over before it's even begun here. Something Cat finds QB Killer on the Symmetra. Coconuts is popping off here. His second kill of the Fight Panda. Desperately chucking kunais here onto the point, but it's not going to be enough. Ethereal Duckling are our 8th and final team to qualify for the LAN at ATK Arena in October. And that's all our teams. A nice round of applause there on the bottom left. Smiling faces, Fluffy, for the Ethereal Ducklings, as they are the last team to qualify.
They have booked their seat at ATK on October the 26th. We will see them all there. I think they've deserved it. I think they were a team that was unlucky in the first qualifier. I think it's possible if they'd been in a different group, they might have just qualified straight off. They were obviously a good team. They know what they're doing. They're coordinated. They have the quality. And I think, you know, they were in a tough group, and we saw them play very well. But they took a map of Glorious Blasters, which is one of our strongest teams in the country, and not qualifying when you're doing that is unfortunate for them. But they have now booked their seat at ATK, and I think that's very, very well deserved. They've been consistently a very solid team, and congratulations to them.
Congratulations indeed. Guys, if you are watching, don't go anywhere, because once we're all, you know, getting through the gaff here, we'll be able to announce our brackets for that LAN finals on the 26th of October at ATK Arena. You guys will get to start pontificating about which team's playing which and who's better, and can start thinking about how the brackets might unfold. But before we get to all that, got some stuff to deal with here. First off, it's the map stats. I think that tells the story right there. 40,000 damage to 24,000 damage, 22,000 healing, and that's what happens when you're taking almost double the damage of your opponents.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can see again, healing doesn't matter if you're dying. You can't heal death. The healing of the Ducklings was more. It was focused as opposed to. It was just so much more damage. You know, the healing. Total damage done was almost as much as healing for Raiders, but you know, it was a very one-sided map. And you know, commiserations to Raiders. You know, I think we saw, you know, the lower bracket run, they came very, very close, and I hope that we see them moving in more competitions moving forward, because I think they do have something. A lot of those players on Raiders, you know, have something to show. They have ability that is obviously there. But there is still, I think, something missing. Ducklings showing they have that just a little bit better understanding, maybe, or just coordination, or whatever it is. Ducklings had it, and I think that's obvious from the results. And I think at the end of the day, the better team did take the win and has qualified for the LAN at ATK.
Couldn't agree more. And here we see our finalized bracket here for the last chance qualifiers. Panda City Vanquish, they pretty much had a not easy run, that's not a fair way to put it, but a very straightforward run, 3-0ing Talons and then 3-0ing Ducklings to secure that 7th seed. And then for the 8th seed, we just saw that finale play out. Ethereal Ducklings 3-0 against Raiders in their first match, dropping 0-3 against Vanquish, and then 3-0 Raiders in their second match against this team as well to secure that 8th and final seed for the qualifiers. So before we move on here, Fluffy, we've got to decide, or well, we can take a look once again at who's qualified for the LAN. It is Pink Salamanders, Inglorious Blasters, Five Nights at Lance, and Anomaly as our top 4 seeds going through. And then the next 4 seeds, Pangolins and Crimson, the 2 remaining teams from our first qualifier, and then from our last chance qualifier, Vanquish, our 7th seed, and Ethereal Ducklings, our 8th seed. Final thoughts on this group of teams that have qualified, Fluffy?
I think at the end of the day, it is in theory, this is the top 8 teams in the country, and I think that is a fair reflection. I think, Ducklings have the best logo, but that's something else. I think it is a fair reflection, and I think, we saw that in the first qualifier there were some one-sided matches. I mean, that's to be expected in a qualifier. But with the LAN now, top 8 teams playing against each other, I think there is a bit of a difference between the top teams and the top maybe 2-3 teams and the bottom 2-3 teams. But those middle teams are very, very close. I mean, we already said how Ducklings were taking maps off IB. That shows you that there is quality there, and the gulf is not as big as it might seem. I'd be surprised if we saw teams like Ducklings or Vanquish, beating teams like Salamanders or beating teams like IB. But there is definitely the potential for them to take maps, and it's not a cakewalk for those teams. Not at all.
Absolutely. You've got to take every team seriously, and that victory, that map win by Ethereal Ducklings over Inglorious Blasters kind of proves that if you're not paying attention, you will drop maps. Right, so before we move on here, Fluffy, MVP of this match, who stood out to you?
MVP of this match? Well, normally I do MVP a bit differently to everyone else, because my MVP isn't necessarily who is the MVP, so to speak, but my MVP is who is the most entertaining for me. So, on that, following that thought process, I think I have to give to Something Cat.
Okay.
Because in my head, he played exceptionally well, playing Malga into a D.Va on a map that Malga shouldn't work. And he played, with everything against him, he was playing very well. And, those two, the first map was quite close. The second 2 were quite dominant. And I think maybe he was the difference. And I thought he played, it's not the hero that I thought Ducklings should have picked, personally. But given that they played it very well. And for that reason, I think, credit has to go to him and to his team overall for playing that composition very, very well. But I think fair play to Something Cat for playing that Malga very well against the odds.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Shout out also, I think, to Voideruni and Ripe. I think there were moments where they
also played very well.
In a big way, especially Ripe on that Tracer, he looked excellent, and Voideruni on the Venture. We haven't seen much of that here, but he made it look as strong as it feels when I play against it in my campaign. So that's pretty much it here for our final match here. But before we go, we can finally reveal our final brackets, our brackets for the finals rather. At the ATK Arena on the 26th of October, and here it is. Right, Fluffy, you're on which team? Pink Salamanders.
I don't play for a team, unfortunately.
Oh, you don't play for a team.
As
what
much
a
as I'd love
loser!
to.
Imagine not playing for a team. Right, Pink Salamanders.
I don't have to, Sun Phoenix.
Well, I've been there. Don't worry. Pink Salamanders taking on Ethereal Ducklings. That'll be the first match in the upper bracket. And it's going to be Rage Quit Anomaly taking on Pangolins. And it's Five Nights at Land taking on Crimson. And then we've got Inglorious Blasters taking on Panda City Vanquish. So, what you'd call these kind of the top four teams, each separate, kind of working their way through the bottom four teams before they face off against each other.
Yeah.
But are there any games here that you think might cause a few upsets for our more established squads?
Of these 4 matches, the one that I think is going to be the closest and maybe the most interesting is going to be Five Nights versus Crimson, because that is a match that Crimson has quality. We've already seen that. They were a team that qualified, from the first qualifier, and they're going against another team that qualified from the first qualifier. The other match, I think in all likelihood, fair play to Ducklings and Panda City, but we've already seen them play. Like, we saw Ducklings play against IB, and that match ended 3-1 in the favor of IB, and we're going to see them playing against Pink Salamanders, and that's a team of a similar quality. I'd love to see an upset, but I'm skeptical. Sorry.
Five Nights
versus,
I completely agree.
I think those other 2 matches, Five Nights versus Crimson and Anomaly versus Pangolins, I think are the 2 matches that are going to be the close ones, the closer ones, first 4 matches. And I think where the really good matches, the closer matches, the ones that we're going to be very, very closely watching, are going to be in the upper bracket semi-final, and then in the first round of the lower bracket. Because that first lower bracket is going to be intense.
Absolutely. There's a bit of a gap between... It's a bit unfortunate in that sense that there's a gap perfectly between the top 4 teams and everybody else. So that means in a format like this, the top 4 teams all avoid each other, and so we kind of wait for that upper bracket semi-final when they start facing each other, and we really get a sense of which teams are going to be fighting it out for that championship spot. And then of course the teams that do lose end up going to the lower bracket, and they'll be looking to make long runs to try and challenge those top teams. But Fluffy, a lot can change between now and October 26th. That's a month, more than a month
away, and something to remember.
Go for it.
So we've seen we have 8 teams qualified for the LAN in October, but roster lock for these 8 teams is only on the 5th of October. So we might see these teams strengthening still. We might see them making some roster changes, adding a player or 2, maybe where there's a weakness, maybe where there's a hero, maybe a hero isn't covered in the hero pool of the team. They can still add pieces to those rosters. So the players registered today are not necessarily the players registered on the 26th of October. And that's something to consider. It's also a lot of times these teams know who they're going to be playing against in October. They know their run of games. They can try see, okay, I'm going to play this team in this round, this team in this round, and they can now specifically prepare. For example, we know if Crimson and Five Nights are going to be playing each other, Five Nights are going to play Doomfist. That's just Crimson can prepare for that. So there's lots of things these teams have now. Knowing their matches, they can figure out exactly how they're going to play against each other.
That's a very good point. And just to reiterate, guys, October 26th, we're not near September 26th. So that is much more than a month to prepare. Rosters can change, players can change, a lot can change between now and then. So while it might look at the moment like we have this striation between the top and the bottom teams, it's entirely possible that a team like Crimson or Pangolins could show up having added, a master from the past that we've completely forgotten about to really buff up and give them that extra source that they didn't have before and allow them to challenge these top teams. But we do look forward to that, guys. But thank you so much for joining us over this weekend, over the 2 weekends a couple of weeks ago, as we looked to see who would finally qualify for the LAN finals in October at ATK Arena here in Cape Town. That's going to be it for us, guys. So thank you so much for joining. Fluffy, before we sign off here, any final words from you? I
am really excited for the LAN. This will be, you've said it's just a month and a half away, and it's the first LAN that Causa South African Overwatch has had since 2019. And I think it's something that's been a long time coming, and I hope that we see the entire community there in Cape Town at ATK. a reminder that this LAN is going to be happening during the day, and then in the evening after the LAN on the 26th, there's going to be the ATK Halloween social, and we hope that everyone will also join in there. It's going to be a big event that I hope everyone participates in, and even if you're not a player, the doors are still open. You're still welcome to participate. This isn't just an event to celebrate the best of Overwatch. This is an event to celebrate Causa as a whole, the community as a whole, and something that I think everyone has longed for a long time. Everyone wants this, of having the community getting together, celebrating the game that we all love.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to that. But that's going to be it for us here this weekend and last weekend. We now know all 8 teams that will be showing up here, at least in name, if not in players and faces. That'll be at the LAN. We look forward to seeing you guys then. Obviously, guys, if you want to keep up with everything happening in South African Overwatch, at ZA Overwatch is where, on Twitter, is where you can do that. If you want to see any information about the LAN that's coming off, please keep an eye on that, and you'll be brought up to speed with everything happening there. And of course, if you want to catch the VODs for any of the streams we've done, pretty much throughout the history of Causa, you can go over to the Causa YouTube channel. Nightbot will be posting links for all of those things as well. And then finally, of course, the place to be is the Causa Discord channel. If you want to take part in any tournaments like this, i.e. find a team to play competitively with, or otherwise take part in the more Pike-style tournaments like the Pride Cup, like the Ringmasters Rumble, and just have some fun in a slightly more competitive environment, you can do that, or otherwise just find players to play with, quick play and whatever. Come to the Causa Discord channel, hang out, and have some fun. But that's going to be it, guys. Probably no more casts, unfortunately, until that LAN final. So by the time we get there, we're going to be raring to go and excited to see some competitive Overwatch. So, guys, thank you again for joining us, for tuning in, for viewing. Thanks big time. As I'm not an admin myself, I can say it. Thanks so much to the admins, everybody, for putting this tournament together. If you're watching this in the chat and you're loved what you saw, please don't hesitate to send nice things to the Causa admins, and send nice things especially to Peach and Lord of Terrence behind the scenes. They've been doing a lot of the back end gritty, dirty work. All the production stuff you've seen has been courtesy of the Peach series, all the graphics, all that kind of stuff. So big shout out to Peach and Terran Lord. He's been doing a lot of the, if you've been playing, you'll have seen him managing a lot of the lobbies as well, helping keep things smooth here, as well as being in the casting booth on occasion as well. But that's going to be it for us, guys, here. We'll see you again in person, hopefully, in October, on October 26th at the ATK Arena.